ball for? Where you ball
Yeah,
for?
never right a drunk, bro.
Alright, well, the elections are now over. The JLP has now won the 2020 elections, and many persons were expecting them to win anyway, but the nature of the victory, most persons weren't really looking out for that. And the thing that surprised me is that persons such as Wickham McNeil, Horace Daly, Fenton Ferguson, and even the great Peter Bunting lost his seat. And next thing that surprised me is that Imani Duncan Price lost a seat that was held closely by the PNP and was once controlled by then Prime Minister Michael Manley. The thing is, and I don't want persons out there watching, especially those that love to comment about my affiliation. I am neither I'm not a supporter of the JLP or the PNP by vote. I just say the good, the bad, and the ugly on both parties. But looking at the PNP, what I've realized is that the PNP is holding on to issues created by Michael Manley and policies created by Michael Manley. The PNP is basically one big history lesson. They will take you through a long story as it relates to history. But the thing is that the PNP has a platform made by Michael Manley from the 70s and the 80s. They have built on it. But we need something new now. And I don't think the PNP has that level of newness in them like what a Michael Manley did in the 70s and in the 80s. The PNP is basically resting on its laurels to hold on or to gain power. And I'm not bashing them because within their manifesto they had some good plans. For example, the renting to own scheme. That's very good. And I wish that the JLP would look at it and do something like that, because that is a very good idea. Because the thing is, it is hard for some persons to actually gain a house through the NHT, but their idea would basically sit very well with many Jamaicans renting and trying to own their own piece of the island through that means. So I kind of respected that. But through the debates, I don't think that the persons aligned to the party basically believed in that manifesto. Because the strange thing is that a question that arose out of it is that how would they fund that manifesto, for one. Some of the ideas were not properly thought through. And the thing is that it sounds good on paper, for example, the paying of the light bill and the water bill, or the credit to the light and water, but I don't think that was properly thought through. And one of the things that I believe is that the Jamaican people kind of matured and look at the issue. And I know that many Jamaicans voted, and many persons are saying what the JLP did, at least one person said it, what the JLP did was not a real victory, but a win is a win. If you're playing football and you win by 10 goals, or you win by 1 goal, is the same 3 points you collect. So the JLP, in my view, didn't offer much, but the party was more unified, and there are certain things within their wording that I liked about the JLP. For example, most of their members, the JLP that is, they kept saying my leader, the leader of the party. They always stuck to that. So if you look at it, the JLP was a team. while the PNP was a team of individuals, because even Peter Bunting's commercial, those were mostly promoting him and not the party or even the leader. Because when you're going to have an ad that is speaking about you as the what do you call himself again? Progress boss, and you're going to have another advertisement speaking to if the PNP don't have your money, the lights wouldn't be on, and you're basically campaigning for yourself. So the PNP didn't have that unified front that they used to have. Because when you look at it, Bruce was on the ground, and if Siaga was alive, he would have been on the ground. I don't really see that unified front for the PNP. And so they would have suffered severely because most of the persons within the party are basically jostling for power. And I don't think that person's actually supported wholeheartedly Dr. Peter Phillips, like how Andrew Holness was supported by the JLP. So sadly, the PNP missed out on an opportunity to gain power this election. And for me, the campaign strategy for many of the candidates were weak. And many of them, I think, just conceded that they wouldn't have won. And the usual PNP campaign was not seen in this election. And so it just faltered. The JLP advertised more, their members were out there. For example, personally, I only know of one. But the campaign for Robert Miller, trust me, the man was out there every day from campaign start. I'm not even a fan of loud music, but I could hear his campaign slogan and whatever he was doing, and it was just constantly being played. So he was out there. He was in the field and doing what he needed to do. He was visible, and basically he won, basically based on his campaigning. And the thing is that some members only stuck to one half of the constituency instead of canvassing a wider section of the constituencies, and basically that never paid out for them. But the thing is that this election does show that persons in Jamaica, they want change. Westmoreland traditionally is orange, turned green. St. Elizabeth, green. Kingston Central, green. And when you really look at these things, the areas that basically the PNP held on to were garrisons, or basically those pockets of diehard PNP supporters. But I didn't think the PNP energized their base enough, and they lost. And the sad thing, I didn't even think the PNP did well as an opposition. And now that they only have 14 persons, and it might not be the best 14 persons within the House now. So if Andrew Holness really wants to keep power, like the 18 years or probably more, he just needs to just perform. Because I don't see the PNP with the current crop of persons winning an election once Andrew Holness don't shoot himself in the foot. So the election for me was quite a surprise by the numbers, trust me. And Jamaica has spoken, so now the ball is in the court of the Jamaica Labour Party. And I just hope that this 4 to 5 years that they have in power, they will focus on the key issues. And during their campaign, they said that they will build houses. And one of the catch things, they didn't say where they will build the houses. That's the next thing. And for me personally, I think it's kind of unfair for a person to leave all the way from Kingston to go to Clarendon and they have to pay more to come to work and their pay basically remains the same and there's no credit. So one of the things the PNP could have done, just like as I think about it, was to speak to that. Probably get a concession on the toll, something like that. Something more feasible. But it is what it is. They lost, and I think Jamaica has matured. And for the first time, even though the turnout was, 37%, I think we voted on the issues and not promises. And I think that even though many persons might not like the Labour Party and Andrew Holness, but I think based on what they have done over the last 4 years and what they have said for the campaign, it was okay. And if we just not look at the corruption that started to arrive at the end, and I know that's a big problem, and he mentioned he would try and fight against it. They basically did okay. They did well by the IMF. They did well based on our circumstances with COVID. So I would love to see what they will do for this term. And I really want to see what the PNP will do as it relates to them rebuilding and being an opposition that doesn't focus on just arguing, but arguing with a cause. And I really hope that these MPs who have won seats are forced to work and not just show up at Easter to give out bun, but actually provide their constituents with meaningful employment, meaningful advice, etc. And I know Andrew Holness is going to charge them, especially those seats that were basically PNP strongholds. Andrew Holness is going to charge them to work because he would want to hold on to those seats, because once they do what they are to do and they improve on certain things in the island, for example, crime, honestly, I don't see where they will lose again. So it is the JLP's election to lose in what it is, 2025, and wish them all the best. For those who are still upset about the loss and say they can't live with Labour right. The funny thing is that many of you guys don't vote. And that is what I find strange. Many other persons that say them hate Labour right, them hate this. If you ask them why you hate them can't give you an answer. Mama Virgin, before him saying vote for Labour right, him rather not vote. And I'm like, if you sit down and listen to the issues, why you can't vote for the person based on issues and not colour? So we just need to just live with it like COVID, support what makes sense, and seeing that the opposition only has 14 members, I'm charging especially those persons who are listening and Jamaica on a whole, seeing that we don't have a strong opposition in the House. We know as a people need to be mindful and vigilant of all the things that are happening and speak out, because where the party is going to become arrogant and all powerful, it's going to be the people that have to bring them down. So, wonderful election, basically violence free, no real issues. The turnout was just low as expected due to COVID. A lot of things happened in terms of even the opposition leader almost losing his seat, Bunting losing his seat. Lisa Anna may lose her seat because that is going to a recount. So Lisa Anna may lose her seat. So the way I look at it, this election was very interesting, and it is probably one of the most incident-free elections that I've ever seen. Uh, the counting was smooth, so big up to EOJ. And overall, I'm just looking for these 4 years. And I'm really looking forward to see our economy improve, diversify, and I even wish that both parties could just work together because they're the same. Just work together and fix what needs to be fixed and make a move on. So until then, be good and be safe.